G'day ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Draw with Jazza. I'm Jazza, and this is a video tutorial on drawing boobs. And yes, I'm doing it completely naked. Happy Valentine's Day, by the way. And that is the very reason that we are here today drawing breasts, because the meaning of Valentine's Day, when it gets really down to the deep meaning of it, is boobs. If women didn't have boobs, men or gay women would not get them presents and would not do anything for Valentine's Day, because boobs mean so much to us. And as an ode to that, as a tribute to that, I thought I'd do a naked tutorial on boobs. So getting straight to it, what is wrong with me? Woo! I want to make a disclaimer, and that is simply that in this video tutorial I will not be showing any nipples, because these people are not naked. They are in very light green jumpsuits with smiley face stickers on the tips of the boob areas, because there is no nudity in this video, aside from this. So, jumping straight into it, what is a boob? One boob is equivalent to a water balloon filled with 50% warm water and 50% arousing magic liquid. Now, this is completely true in the sense that the way a boob sits on a body, a bodice, that word, is slightly different to a water balloon, and that's probably the 50% arousing magic that makes it sit just that little bit sexier than a water balloon. But it's fairly similar. It's weighted kind of down at the end and jiggly and anyway, so believe it or not, this is a legitimate drawing tutorial, and we are going to draw boobs today. Hooray! So let's zoom right in here, and I have three pre-prepared drawing angles: the front, three-quarter angle, and the side. Now, I have gone into how I go about drawing breasts, jubblies, melons in my female anatomy tutorial video, but I'm going to isolate the focus onto the breasts in this video. So here on the front, and as I've mentioned before, I begin by drawing this sort of teardrop shape, and I imagine it as a sort of water balloon like thing. The reason I draw that teardrop like shape is very much because it helps me to imagine the gravity impacting on the object of the boob. Now we begin with our construction lines, just really sketchy. Feel free to alter the shape and size just so that they match and are in line with each other. And when we're fairly happy with the shapes, we draw the line work. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind. First and foremost, without support, meaning a bra or something holding up the boobs, like the hand of a rugged bushman, the boobs kind of fall out to the side a bit, and they don't meet up in the middle to have cleavage without some sort of pressure to do so. I should grab my reference smiley face and just kind of add that in here, just to make sure that they're accurate to the clothes that she's wearing. I would also like to point out that though these aren't nipples, because remember these are items she's wearing very light green, but because it's just line work I can't do the green, but just thought I'd put I'm talking too much. The nipples, if these were nipples but they're not, kind of go out to the side a bit. They're not like, you know, sort of directly in the middle or on top of the breast. They kind of fall with the weight of the breast. So moving across to our side angle here, following the same method that I used before, I kind of begin the tear shape in the middle of the middle line of where the collarbone and shoulders are, and I follow the line of the body, in this case out here. Now, when on an angle like this, you need to keep in mind that the breast weighs down from the shoulder, not above or below it. Okay, so where the pulling of the gravity begins is around the same point of the arm as the armpit. Okay. Another thing to remember is that when you draw the line work of the breast on the side on angle, it begins by being pulled down, and then around the area of our little smiley face bulges underneath itself. So we have our breast fall in and around, and then connect up to the armpit. And we grab our smiley face to make sure she's properly clothed. And there we go, that is the breast on that angle. And then coming across here on our side angle. Okay, so a similar process, but this time it's less teardrop shaped and a little more like half a teardrop on its side. And like I said with the front view, sorry, not with the front view, with this breast here, we begin by showing the breast being pulled down and then out and then under. Okay, now in a situation where we see it meet the skin and it's not foreshortened in front of the skin, we can kind of fold it against the skin like that. And then we make sure to add clothing, because otherwise this video would be inappropriate and might be flagged as mature. But that's not going to happen because there's no naked content except for this extremely sexually attractive man in the webcam feed. Moving on. Okay, so we've got our complete reference here of our front, third angle and side. Now I will mention that the description, in the link in the description which leads to the reference files for this, contains both the completed tutorial of the drawings of boobies that I've done, but also a blank slate of images that you can print or use on your computer of these without my boobs being drawn on. Not my boobs, but the boobs that I've drawn. So that you can practice drawing boobs, because they are something that require a lot of time and attention, and you might want to focus on and spend time on. Okay, now the other thing to keep in mind with boobs is size. So I have 3 sized ladies here because we appreciate ladies of all sizes, and I'd just kind of quickly like to address how I approach each. With small breasts, similar sort of process, but they're much more isolated and separate to each other. So we draw our teardrop shape. They're not as weighted down, they don't sag per se, they just kind of sit there. So, and we go into once we've done our construction work, we draw our line work. Oops. And they sag so minimally that I don't even really need to pull it in against the armpit. I need to make sure that our models are clothed. Put their little clothing references on. And again, we sit the those markers, our little smiley faces, or where the nipples would go were they naked, right between where the top part of the breast is pulled down and the under part of the breast is pulled under. So that's it. That is a small-breasted woman. Next, we're going to be drawing a medium-breasted woman. And this is pretty much equivalent to the ones that I just drew. So we'd be doing this. Our teardrops, or water balloons, or whatever you want to call them. You want to make sure that they're roughly the same size. Now, another thing to keep in mind, and this is pretty important, is that the underside of the boobs are always in line with the shoulders. So you see how I'm a bit out of line here. I'm going to grab this, bring it up, and now we're pretty much in line. Okay, so now I'm ready for the line work. Whoops, I keep giving away what's coming. That's what she said. Grow up! There we go. And then we add the most important part, our little items of clothing. And now with large-breasted women, let's face it, in most cases, unless they've had surgery or are extremely gifted, large-breasted women tend to be fairly large women. So if you're going to draw a woman with large breasts, first thing is first, they sag. They're heavy. So if I had massive water balloons, they're going to fall down further than medium to small water balloons. I just want to make sure that these are same size roughly. Okay, so they have more weight behind them. So that means they get pulled down more, and they also bulge more under, and they show more drag. So as in, you see the lines that connect it to where it's weighted from, in this case up here, so up to the armpit. That shows a bit more. And then finally, the nipples are pulled a little bit lower just because they're weighted down. And they're generally, let's face it, a bit bigger. Now remember, these aren't nipples. These are smiley faces on the clothing, but they're a bit bigger because of the stretch. Hooray! Let's move on. So what we're looking at next, I'll get rid of that line. These are some pre-prepared poses that I've drawn. Now I have sketched in the boobs. That's because I didn't want to spend too much time going over it. I just want to do the line work over these and explain the process as I do so. But keep in mind that the boobless versions of these poses are available in the link in the description so that you can practice yourself. Now these are pretty helpful exercises because, as do water balloons, if you sit it on a table or if you stretch it, they're going to be moving and sitting in different ways. So boobies are pretty versatile in that sense. So this one is fairly normal. I just kind of wanted to have a pose that had them sit pretty normally. Man, I keep having to redraw my line work because the boob has to really like look round and voluptuous, and sometimes my line work doesn't. Come on! Soon. Almost. I'll just tweak that. There we go. And I'll just make that fit. Okay, and same as I said before, you have the side, fit, and rest against the body. And I'll bring this in here. Now another thing to remember is as well as the shoulders line being adjacent to the boob resting line and it resting against the skin on a side pose, is that when squished they are very malleable. So in this situation here, they're quite contorted and distorted. They get really pushed in and pulled, and that's the way we like them to be. Let's face it. That's why they're just so fun and cool. So even our little smiley faces are going to be distorted. Look at that. It's so wonderful. Oh, this comment section will be interesting to read. Hooray! Alright, moving on. Now this is an example of an extreme pose and how the shoulders angle affects the angle of the breasts. So having the boob follow that angle is the way to go. And now again, we begin with the top of the breast being pulled down and the bottom being pulled under, but because this is a view looking up, it's got a little bit more body to the top angle before it gets pulled down, and then we get pulled up and it rests against the skin, and then we add our little friend here and make sure he's properly distorted. Oh, this has probably been my favorite video to do ever, and I should do more. Correct. Okay, so there are those three poses. I have a couple of final poses left to go, but what I'm going to do is show a variation of these with support, because drawing them with support is very different to drawing them without support. And when I say support, I mean like a bikini. So I've got my onion skin layer on so I can see the frame before, and you'll find that things hold themselves quite a bit differently. I'm going to use my guide layer here to draw them, but when supported they're much more round. Oops. So they kind of sit up a lot more, and that's when you get things like cleavage and all those wonderful things, because we love when things like that happen. Okay, so the bra strap or bikini strap comes down from the shoulders, extends out into the bra or the boob. There we go. So that's our first example. It's fairly simple. No little smiley faces on that one, but there's definitely a smiley face on this one. That was awful. I am sorry. So on this one, this one will sit quite differently. It'll probably have stronger cleavage line, but the boobs will be much higher and much more round because they're supported and held up. So bikini is the same, kind of comes down from the top like this, and pulls out into its normal bikini-like shape, but everything just holds together a lot more solidly than it does without support. Just like alternating between those, I am having way too much fun doing this video. Now, showing the frame before, this one will be quite different. Now, you can see, especially with the side view, in the frame before, we have that pulling down and then the pulling under. In this view, it's going to be much more supported, hence the support thing. Duh. Cool. So, our bikini strap comes down. Now remember, when following an up angle like this, you need to kind of go with the boob. So as you can see, the bikini or bra kind of go around like that. But in this situation, because it's an up angle, it's got to angle with the boob, doing that. There we go. So ready to move on from here to our next set of examples. We have these poses. So these two poses are meant to be roughly the same, but just on different angles. So the one on the left has her arms up like this, and the other one has her arms up like that. And I wanted to just go over that briefly because I wanted to show that with those angles varying, you see how it shows behind as well. So, and that was pretty quick to draw, but oops. What's happening? Yep. So there we go. It's really not a huge deal. Remember to connect the breast to the armpit, especially when the arm is pulled up like that. Mr. Motorbiker. Young hooligans these days. Alright, so I'm going to grab my smiley face references and bring it over. Oop. And place him here. And give the other one a home. The other one's going to be much harder to see though because it's on such an angle. So isn't it interesting how even those smiley faces or representations of what the nipples, where the nipples would be, they warp with the breast as well. So remember, stretch it in those angles, and the other thing to keep in mind is the angle following the shoulders. So this one here, we have a similar sort of thing, but in reverse. Whoop. Yeah, so that would be where the shoulder is, so it's like that. And then we add our smiley faces. Oops. I was originally going to have this be a slice of pepperoni, but I thought that might have been a step too inappropriate. But in the end, this entire video might be a step in the inappropriate side of things. Considering I'm topless, that is true. I don't know why I decided to do that. I guess I just chuckled and thought it was a funny idea, so I just did it. And now I've done it, and yeah, there's no going back. So just troop on. Alright, last two examples. These are very extreme examples. This one is very similar to this angle here. Difference is the arm isn't pulled up, so it sits down more. Oops. And the top of the breast, because it's resting and isn't pulled, is going to be sitting a bit, kind of, the foreshortening will have it overlay on itself a bit more. And then this side rests against the skin. So we bring on our little happy faces, smiley face, whatever. I keep calling them smiley faces, but they look really like shocked to be there. Although, who wouldn't be? Most people on the internet. And this one is a clear demonstration. Oops, I should hide the layer before. It was showing those bikinis the whole time. This one is a clear demonstration as to how they distort and again, all influenced by gravity. So, in this situation, this woman is laying down and they're pulling off to the side there because they are naturally weighted that way. So, in drawing that, we get a much more natural looking flow of things. So they're not like most comic books where they just jump out at you. And I mean, they have their place as well. There's nothing quite like a lovely jumping out boob woman from a comic book. But it is good to learn to draw the non-jumpy outy version. So that is our second last reference bit, and I'm just going to draw those again with support. So now I'm going to show the frame before and go through and add a bikini. So again, they sit a little higher and just a little rounder, probably even a bit higher than that, and a little perkier, and the bottom one as well, up like that. And then we have our bikini come in like so. There we go. So that's that one done. It's pretty simple. We just kind of add lift and make things rounder. So bring it up a bit, make it rounder, bring up the baseline. And our shoulder strap for the bra, bikini, or whatever it is. Clearly I haven't decided. I don't wear them very much, so I don't draw them very well. I'm just trying to show the breast in a lifted position. And again, if you have difficulty, just go watch heaps of reference videos. Just whatever kind of reference videos you can find. Any videos that show boobs bouncing, being, you know, squeezed, pushed, women jumping, all that kind of thing. They'll be extremely helpful in many ways. Our last two ones, same sort of thing. We bring our lift, and because this is such a low angle, we're going to see much more of the top of the breast. So if the strap comes down, I wonder if I should just do it that way. Ugh, probably. Yeah, that's a bit better. And finally, now I'm not sure how this last one will go, but I'll give it a go. We lift them so they come closer to the center, like this, because they're being pulled in, and in this situation we'd have cleavage. Bring in the bra straps, or the bikini straps, and have them shape with the boobs, and have that merge or meld with the body. And that, my friends, is my video tutorial on drawing boobs. Now let's just go through these again. We have our front 3/4 angle and side views of the breasts and how they sit. Our small, medium and large breasts. We have without support in these poses and with support, and we show the difference there, and it's, as you can see, it's quite a drastic difference. And then finally, without support in these angles and with support. I hope this video has been helpful. Bet you within the first minute of the tutorial you didn't actually think it would be a tutorial, but it was, and I hope it was helpful. Once again, link in the description leads to the reference files, both the flash file, a PDF of the drawn examples, and raw JPEGs of the undrawn examples of it will essentially look like this, and you'll be able to experiment with them yourself and learn and apply these and get used to it.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoy my videos. You can download the reference files from this tutorial by clicking the link in the description. And remember to share any art, animation, or game you make on Newgrounds.com. Until next time, see you later.